going? I thought we'd talk a little today about how we go about making boss battles for our games. So, some of the best boss battles are against mechanics you already have in your game. It's not the time to prove a concept for a new attack. It's not the time to come up with something new. Now is the time to test what your players already knew about the game. The first step, I say, in creating a cool boss is probably to come up with a mechanic that's already established and counter it. Pick one of your characters and say they have a skill that only they can do. You're going to want to have a boss come in and test that. See how well the player responds to the boss attacking that skill specifically. See how well it exploits their weaknesses and their advantages. Let the player have fun with it. Once you have an idea for a boss and how it's going to challenge your player, you can start to look at the idea overall and what this boss is actually going to look like. If you don't already have an idea of what your boss concept is, this could be a great starting point for you. Go ahead and take some inspiration from another game, maybe play some other games with similar concepts, similar mechanics that you have to go up against. Play a game where the boss, challenges you in the same way, fundamentally. You'll get ideas for attacks, you'll get ideas for weaknesses, gameplay in general, and maybe even what the thing looks like. Your next task is probably going to be to sketch the idea out. Go ahead and take some time to render the boss, do a few sketches. I've said it before, I have a sketchbook full of stuff like this. It's absolutely my best friend when it comes to making enemies. Your sketchbook can also contain things like charts, effects, ideas for animations involved with the boss, concepts, anything really. It's a lot more than just what the thing looks like when it comes down to it. How's the player going to feel when they walk into it? What kind of environment are they going to find it in? What kind of music's playing? Write it all down, get some ideas and put them all in there and see what works. You're going to want to then test the concept. You don't need to have a final piece by now. In fact, it's probably bad if you had something finalized and you put a lot of work in. There's a high probability that what you come up with isn't going to work entirely the way you think it is. That's a big part of game design if you haven't figured that out already. A lot of times you're going to come up with something and it's just not going to fly. So your concept will go in as a little skeleton perhaps. Go ahead and just make some placeholders, put that in there, test it. If it's fun, then you're onto something. If it's not fun, then it needs a rework.
Show no mercy. Fight!
This is proof, again, that if a game looks good, it's not usually enough to carry the whole boss fight, especially when it comes to big, mean bad guys. It's really fun, really exciting to see something huge and imposing and really well rendered come on the screen. But if it's no fun, nobody's going to remember it. And they're just going to say, well, that was pretty, but that was nothing. Your final task will be to skin this boss. And what I mean by that is actually go in and finalize the concept. Now you can start to make it look really cool. I use Dragon Bones, I use Photoshop, and I just kind of take something that I've rendered and tear it apart, put it back together in a skeleton form, and put it into the game. You can use anything that you want here. High render images. If you're doing 3D, then obviously you're going to want to have the highest output that you can manage. It's pretty easy when it comes to RPG Maker games especially. You can do pixel art at this point. You can do full renderings at this point. No more boxes and blocks and things. Make it look really cool and test it and test it and test it. So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this segment. If there's anything that I missed, please say so in the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback. Take care.